Not to mention the boss fights are cheap and random. Then comes the main problem. This level is extremely buggy. I'm often not even sure where the collisions are, or the whole warp to the other side of the screen thing is hardly working. There are plenty of graphical bugs, and I honestly can't say anything else. I like the music choice, but it's just so bad. That was among the least enjoyable Mega Man experiences I've ever had. Worse than half the nonsense zero-effort ROM hacks of Rockman 2. More unplayable than the garbage mobile phone ports. More annoying than the Upon a Star OVA. And yes, worse than Mega Man X7 and all of its stupid face. I will gladly fight Flame High-Art again and again with full sound. Burn, burn, burn to the ground, burn to the ground, burn! Rather than play this stage again. Hell, I'd happily go through X7 with all the sound replaced with burn, burn, burn to the ground! My friends, any Let's Players, if you're going to skip any level in this contest, make it this one. I cannot understate how unfun this stage is. I was stuck in this level for over an hour on my first passes, and I hated every minute of it. Are you ready, kids? Settle in. This is going to be a long one. This level does not start off well. We get walls of text, from the 3 random characters that speed by so quickly the player does not even have a chance to read them. Going up with the blue segment, we have Quickman lasers. The fact that they're introduced safely seems like a positive. Wait a few seconds though, and the screen with the sniper Joe on it, and suddenly lasers. There's no indication at all that this room is going to be dangerous, especially since there's a newly introduced enemy in this room. That will stump the player the first time they see it. Home to the stage is an original warping gimmick. At first the rules seem obvious. Go off the edge of the screen and you'll warp to another side. This is a lovely idea, but it turns out there are no rules to this gimmick at all. The rules to this change between rooms. Sometimes you can walk into somewhere completely innocuous and you'll warp elsewhere. Sometimes logical spots for warps don't have them and you'll just die. Outside of the trial and error, there's no way to tell where you'll end up with this gimmick and whether or not you'll be led to a pit. I haven't even mentioned the enemy set yet. They're so bad. We're not playing Toho. Mega Man actually has a huge hitbox, and more to the point, bullet hell shoot-'em-up games actually have patterns to the masses of projectiles. Not just total RNG like this. Eventually reach the first of the 3 bosses, and the boss with the sword. Its damage outputs is nuts and will pull off attacks when it feels like it with little to no warning, and is completely invincible while it's making these attacks. The only good... You know what? I think you guys get the idea. Ace Spark didn't like that one. Yggdrasil, the World Tree, is a robot with woodland heritage. I really appreciate this level, even if the judges didn't. I think Yggdrasil was 75th. Or 72nd, okay. So in 71st place, we have Quaz Cake with Rush City. Average score of 15.8. Oh. Ow. Gotta love the jet skis on land. And the random, oh, right, this section. And yeah, I know Wishy looks weird with the, with the dual satellite palette, but yay, scrolled them off. This jump's really obnoxious. solar bladers. So, oh jeez. Okay, good. This really kind of messes with my eyes with the dithering here. Thanks for finishing the level. There's an optional ride bike race that does lead to more goodies. If you are having problems, remember touching the sides won't kill you. Also, some parts need speed to get over them. Credits. Ultimate CF for the Duke Nukem tile set. Earthworm Jim music by Shiny and Interplay. I think Tommy Tallarico did the soundtrack to Earthworm Jim. Oh, here we go. Yeah, ride that wave bike, Wishy. You can see the water splashing up even though there's no water for her to ride on. It's great. Also, these gray blocks are spikes. Oh my god, the dithering. Yes, Flip. Going streaking with diamonds. This level just feels very empty. Like there's some ideas here, but then there's just not much going on in general. The only real difficult part is the part with the bladers, and that's really only because bladers are bastards. The wave bike section is sometimes unfair because Ryder Joe's can surprise you out of nowhere and knock you into the pits. Other than that, there's not really much happening. I guess there's a tiny bit of difficulty curve, but the level seems so sparse I feel like I'm just grasping at straws. I wish there was just more in general here. This level didn't feel like much effort was put into it. I basically flew over an empty section with Rush Jet. You're actually meant to jump down, but it looks like a pit, so I flew over it. It was mostly just flat with some crystal joes. Fell down 2 screens, fought some enemies, and that was it. In the optional wave bike section, there's no indication whatsoever that the gray blocks actually kill you. This level was kind of over before it started, and sadly I didn't really have any clear direction. The challenges presented were janky, it seemed unfinished, and the optional bonus section in the end was not so optional exit. Is something that could have been easily made into the main gimmick of the level. This level needed both more focus and more testing, and to be substantial in any way. Unfortunately, sorry, it could have been better. The level design is pretty bad, with all the enemies being extremely unpredictable, and one jump being precise, and the wave bike section being highly unfair with ridiculous enemy placement. Also, the visuals are pretty bad. Other than that, there's just nothing interesting to say here. It's a pretty bland level. It comes to something when the bare minimum is applied to enemy layouts. This is done here. For such a generic level, that might just be the worst tile set selection you could have gone for. I'm not even sure the game this was taken from looked boring. Duke Nukem, right? Nothing really happens in this stage. There's a wave bike section at the end, which is alright and a decent enough challenge. Just enough to wake the player up. Even this is bungled a bit. Why did the spikes here look like generic blocks? This is just confusing. There's also the most laughably poor attempt at a boss fight I've ever seen here. Worst enemy type to select for your endgame, considering there were actual bosses in the dev kit. And even much better mid-bosses. I really think you should have just made a wave bike segment the actual endgame, and not tried to make it optional. Because now players will have to go through your stage twice, just to pick up both elements, with nothing changing in between. Yeah, no, this was fairly poor, and very dull. Sploosh! 70th place. The one-ender, Gigavolt Man, score 17.2. Already I object to, like, using both the Electman tile set and the music. What the fuck's the point of that screen even? Okay, so up. I just don't want to get murked. That's why I was hesitating. This had a noble nickel in that blank spot you see there. Best puzzle, Wylene reviews. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty crazy right here. I don't know how you're supposed to do that without weapons and without just tanking hits. Okay. This section had a noble nickel. And this is like, this seems like it should be doable, but it's damn near impossible. Like this wasn't tested. I'm confident that this wasn't tested. This is ridiculous to get up to without just abusing Super Arrow. By the way, the checkpoint for this level is right here, and this mini boss respawns and snipes you. I'm hoping I won't have to show that off, actually. Night. Apparently also before... Oh! Apparently that's not a ladder. It looks like a ladder, but most certainly isn't. That's what I meant by the mini-boss sniping you. So you basically have to re-kill this mini-boss, but from a much more awkward angle to fight it. Poof. Oh boy. Now this is pretty funny right here. So we have Voltman here. If you're not aware from what game this Chuckle fucks from, he's from one of the DOS games. Ah, Mega Man. Thank you for coming here. This Wily bot has took over the base and I couldn't do a thing. If you beat him, he will drop the cord of my power supply. You mean this thing? Yeah. This level's designed extremely bizarrely. It goes all over the place with what it actually wants to use in the level. The only things that seem to stay consistent are the Sheepman and Electman blocks. I don't think there are more than 2 of any enemy in the whole level. Spawners don't count, you dip. Some of the enemy placement just baffles me. There's a crazy cannon near the beginning that you can just snipe from afar with no danger. There are literally shield attackers that just are out of your reach and just hit a wall and you never get to them and then despawn.